What's up, guys? Welcome to TFGoose Gaming. I'm TFGoose here with Vendetta, and we're bringing you a peek today at little something different. All you guys waiting for SimCity stuff, don't freak out. Trust me, it's coming. But this is Unholy Heights, which, yeah,
It's an interesting game.
interesting is the right word. That's right. So, yeah, this is basically sort of a tower defense game, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's essentially the trick.
it's a tower defense paired with apartment management, which you're kind of like, what?
That's a great sentence. Tower defense mixed with apartment management. Exactly the tagline that they should use to sell this thing, I think.
Yeah, so this is out of a Japanese indie house, and their forte into indie games. It's I don't remember the name of the company, forgive me, but you can get it on playsim.com, I think, is the website. It's an interesting little game. I don't know if this is their first forte into indie games, but it's
I'm going to give you some help. You ready?
yeah.
4A.
For,
4A instead of Forte.
for
Before the comments explode. I'm just telling you.
you go to hell and you die.
I know. I couldn't help it. I'm a grammar freak. I know. It's my problems. But
This is
Anyway.
their first foray.
Hooray! Exactly. Yes. Anyway, so yeah, what intrigues me about this game is that most of the time in, a standard tower defense game, it's just buying the units or buying the towers, really,
Yeah.
And placing them. And that's basically it. You definitely get what you pay for. You place it down, and it's more so about making sure that you have sort of an adequate distribution of different effects in the right positions, trying to fight off these waves of monsters. But in this, you also have to worry about stuff like keeping the tower happy, because the towers are tenants, and you're collecting money from them as they rent the spaces that you've assigned to them. And that's how you get money to purchase upgrades and stuff. That it's not the kills really, that help you. It's the rent that they're paying for the room, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, you have to, and plus your units can die. And might I add, as we get a little deeper into the game here, I'm going to show you my load game where I'm quite a bit deeper into the game.
Yeah, much further.
It gets significantly harder. I was actually surprised how much harder it gets. And so with each of your units here, you have different things that your monsters are going to want depending on the type of monster. You have different fridges, different beds, even different entertainment options. So it's really quite fascinating to me because it's a lot more micromanagement than you would typically get with a traditional tower defense.
Yeah, and that's kind of the separator. I mean, keeping them individually happy based on their own individual tastes, is really, really strange. I mean, imagine like if you're playing like old school, like Warcraft 3 tower defense. I mean, that's the first time I saw it, really. If you bought like a freeze tower and then had to make sure that it had, the right accoutrements in its apartment,
Exactly.
it needed the right tapestry, and by God, it had to have the correct size television, and it likes to eat pizza, and it enjoys cards or something. And you have to make sure you buy all these things, or else the freeze tower stops working. That's kind of a weird scenario to think about that. But that's basically what you're doing here. You're investing some of the money that they're paying you for the space, to put back into them and keep them happy. And also, to just, of course, to build up and attract more monsters so that you can handle the ever-increasing waves of enemies that come through. But like you said, just there's a lot more here going on than just buying units and sticking them in the right spot and then hoping for the best when all the monsters come.
Yeah, because I've actually been completely destroyed during a quest. So that little board there on the left, that's your quest board. And you can embark on different... sorry guys, my phone. You can embark on different kind of quests, and it'll of varying degrees of difficulty, and all your people can die, and if they all die, you fail the quest. Or if you fail to kill everyone, you fail the quest.
Now, just, I mean, for a, just to kind of paint the picture here, I mean, if you lose all of your units, it's pretty much you're just done, are you not? Or can you
No, you
go
keep
ahead
going.
so as long as you have money or as long as you have a building to attract new guys, then you can keep going.
Yeah.
And that's the deal. So, I mean, is there a way, just because, I mean, yeah, guys, if it's not obvious here, Vendetta's the one that's played the snot out of this game, not so much myself. So I'm learning along with you. But what I want to know, because I just didn't get a chance to go through it very much, is can you just outright fail and you're done? Or do you just eventually reach a point where you just don't have the resources to continue and you just kind of have to say, all right, you know what, I'm going to get slaughtered here and I'm never going to get myself reestablished, and I think I should just quit and start over.
I think if you run out of money, you will fail, but I have not had that happen to me. Another thing interesting about the game too is you have male and female monsters, and if they get, I think, to a certain comfort level, you can kind of see their satisfaction rating, they will actually attract a mate. And so for each monster, yeah.
Satisfaction rating. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, so for each monster, you can get potentially 2 monsters, and then they can have a kid who can grow up, and then that's a 3rd monster.
And they're all living in the same unit.
Exactly. So you can multiply your forces quite a bit, but that takes a lot of management. And sometimes when my people die, I'll just move somebody else in just to get them in there.
Right. I mean, I imagine it becomes a balance, of time, and resources. You can't let those empty units, and by that I mean the rooms. I should call them rooms instead of units because I feel like they're all units on the screen right now too. But, those rooms, if they're sitting empty, that's income you're not getting.
Exactly.
For sure. And it's less defense.
Yes.
Less ability to complete quests and earn money and, keep everybody happy. So you really have to take into account the fact that you have these empty spaces and try to fill them. But, I mean, also the monsters that show up, they're looking for all these guys coming in from the left down here. I mean, they're looking at the board trying to figure out if they can move in, right?
Yes, they are.
So you have to judge, if you have an empty room, you're like, do I want that guy living here or not? And sometimes you might not have a choice, I imagine. You just need to fill the room. Like, all right, let's just put somebody in here because, my God, we need some money.
Yeah, you have to be careful, though, because you have a couple different classes. Like, you have your melee, you have your magic, and then you have your ranged attack, and of both magic and melee as well. And so it really is a balancing act because all these different types of adventurers are subsequently weak against a certain type of mob. And so you have to, do I have too much melee? You're going to get steamrolled by some magic users. Or do I have too much magic? And the opposite's going to happen. So.
Right. Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense too. And also it's just about, the positioning and stuff too, because it's going to help you to have your melee guys up front, or trying to deal with guys, to keep them away from your ranged as well. So,
yeah.
And depending on how they attack, that can get kind of out of hand, so you want to fill the right vacant room with the right type of unit, and based on where it's going to be encountering enemies and stuff too. So, I mean, again, I guess it's the complexity of it is what really just throws me. I always thought that, tower defense games, generally speaking, I'm not to take away from them, but, strategically, they're kind of simple, in that you basically just have to choose the right units and put them in the right spots. And then everything else is just hoping that you did the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. In this, there's so many more elements, for you to consider, which doesn't seem like that really should be the case, especially when you're considering, it's like a 2D plane here,
Right.
It's not like that they went 3D on you and had them coming from a bunch of different angles and everything. I mean, it's definitely, and it looks like a simplistic game when you first get your eyes on it. It looks like it would have less going on, than what really is happening. But, lo and behold, as we're learning more and more these days, you can't just judge a book by its cover on these games, especially these indie titles. They come out and they come with the thunder and they challenge even the big AAA titles, that are out there as far as complexity goes.
Yeah, so here I'm just kind of going through the bestiary, and it's you have 4 different types of units for each class of monster, demon, undead, elementals, abyss, and then you have some bosses, which I think you'll see a little bit later, and those can be quite tough. And as you continually develop and you conquer more missions, you'll get more monsters, and that also I think increases your what's it called? Your fame level, and then when you defeat the monsters, and then by doing that you attract better monsters, yada yada.
Right.
And become more powerful.
Yeah, that almost reminds me of like, did you ever play Dungeon Keeper back in the day?
No.
Did you ever play that? It's a yeah, guys. If you haven't seen that game, go find that somewhere. That's a really sharp game, but it's a strategy game. It's not a tower defense. But the idea was, in a nutshell, you play the bad guy, and you have like this dungeon, and you have to expand it and attract a bunch of monsters, to live in your dungeon and eventually defeat the invading good army. Like
Yeah.
a knight will come in with a bunch of heroes, oh, and you have to slaughter them. And if you kill them, then you win that level. It's really interesting. But the point is, what made me think of that is the fact that you have to attract monsters. That's really important. You had to make the dungeon, make the environment attractive to certain monsters. And if you didn't have the right things, they didn't come.
Right.
And in certain situations, on certain levels, if you didn't attract a certain class of monster, it was impossible. I mean, you were just done. I mean, you really needed certain ones to be there. And if you didn't get them because you decided to stingy out and not build, the rec room that they wanted and, make sure that it had leather seats or whatever,
Yeah.
then that was it. The forces are going to move, right through your base, and you were going to be done. So it's kind of the same thing here, with all these amenities and such, where you have to really make sure that you have a building and have units that are attractive to the types of creatures that you need to get in there before the wave shows up that'll just rip you to shreds.
So something else that's interesting is each of your tenants has a job, or maybe doesn't have a job, and they will become behind on rent. And if they get too far behind rent, they will actually leave your complex.
And then, of course, you have to deal with that. That's that's yet another way that becomes empty. So it's not just their health that you have to keep. There's your quest complete. Excellent.
Bum-ba-da-ba.
Yeah, but so it's not only just taking care of their health and making sure that they're healed up and everything, but it's also you got to monitor them and make sure that they're going to work and they're keeping up on their rent, because if all of a sudden they get evicted because they can't hold the rent down anymore, then that's another way that you're going to end up with an empty room, and that's no fun at all either. So
yeah, yet another problem.
So I mean, I am noticing too, like quite a bit of diversity in just the types of mobs that you have kind of moving in here and stuff too. They look like they've done a really good job with keeping things interesting just on a visual level too.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think that it surprised me honestly how hard it is. Like, at first it's easy, but once you get into about where I'm at right here, like the third extension on your place, it starts to get a lot harder, and I was really surprised by that.
But that's a good thing. I mean, obviously, that's the kind of thing that you want. I mean, you want challenge in the game. You want it to ease in, and give you some time to learn how things work, and then obviously just get progressively harder. As long as it doesn't get to the point where it's just so impossibly difficult that you just want to chuck your computer across the screen or across the room. Which, no, I've never had that happen.
No, never.
Never played any game that just makes me want to break controllers or anything like that. So that's no problem. I'm very well adjusted, as are you. So now the title of the game here being Unholy Heights, I mean, what's you can just keep building these buildings up to the sky. I mean, is that right? I mean,
no, it only has one more level.
That's upsetting. See, that's my problem. Misleading. I want big, tall skyscrapers and like 400 rooms that I have to babysit because I don't know, because I decided I want to be an android for a second there and actually be capable of that. I don't know.
Yeah. And so a couple other things that we haven't talked about. One, the more satisfied your mobs are, or your monsters rather, are in their room, like you see those +5s, the more damage and defense they gain. So it is very much important to keep them, like if they want the barbecue set, you better buy them the barbecue set because it's going to help you.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that it's the barbecue set being your favorite like SimCity item to buy. I love that. That's good.
Gotta put that in there.
You have to get that in. That's no problem. But yeah, no, that's obviously really important. I mean, this is the same way that you might think about actually just upgrading straight up attack damage or armor or anything else, on other games. But in this, it's just a happiness meter. And there's many more things that feed into it than just buying the right sword.
Right.
That's the deal. So you just have to think of it like that. But I don't know. I'd much rather have that because they could just have it where, there's a bunch of little icons there. Then they just say +1 attack. Would you like to buy +2 attack? Would you like to buy +3 attack? And that's boring.
Right.
It's much cooler if you call it like, would you like to buy a big screen television and a game room and a mini fridge. You know, these are the things that, you know, put a little bit of flair into it at least and give the player something to actually picture when they click that button rather than just an innocuous number. So I like that. I think that's a good idea, just design-wise and everything.
Yeah, so here a couple of my dudes are getting wasted. These little archers are kicking my butt. And I decided to send out some more things. Oh, something else we haven't talked about. But certain types of monsters do not like to live with other kinds of monsters. For example, demons and demi-humans do not get along whatsoever. If you have them living in the same building, they will complain and complain and complain until you evict one of them.
Really? Okay.
That's all they care about. They're like, I hate demons. And the demon will be like, I hate demi-humans.
So they could have like the most pimp apartment in the world.
Yeah,
And if they got the wrong people living in there, they're just not happy.
exactly.
So what you're saying is that they're racist. I got it. I understand. You know? No.
Pretty much.
We're not teaching equality with this game, apparently. You know, that's not the goal. But, you know, certainly not preaching a lifestyle either, folks. You know, love thy neighbor. But in this game, yes, you do have to put up with some unruly folks that don't like other people, that don't like other entities. They need to watch some Star Trek, seriously, or something. You know? Get used to other people. It's all right.
So guys, this game is $4. You can get it on PlaySim. You know, it's definitely a casual game. I for $4, I don't see how you can go wrong. It's $4. Like,
exactly. Seriously, it's like a trip to Taco Bell. All right. You know, I mean, it's worth it. You know, put $4 up. There's, you know, how many things did you pick up like on the Steam sale or whatever, right?
Right, exactly.
You know, I mean, there's few opportunities when you can pick up a quality game that's going to give you several hours of entertainment. I mean, this is a game that, you know, you can play for a little while and then maybe you're like, okay, well, I'm kind of done with that. But there's nothing saying that, you know, months down the line or whatever, you're not just going to go, you know what, I kind of want to play that again.
Yeah,
you know,
so,
and you're for $4, you can't really pass that up, you know. And the only thing that I think might be really, really cool for a game like this is looking at it just complexity-wise. This would be really cool on like a tablet or something, and I think that would be really interesting if they decided to try and port it in that fashion, you know, too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. This would be a fantastic tablet game.
Yeah, so I mean, just, you know, certainly a lot of fun if you're sitting at your desk and need something to pass a little bit of time, and you know, and you just save your game and come back to it later, and that's no problem. But you know, for $4, you know, you really, really can't go wrong. You know, so I would definitely recommend it. It's just too different. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, so I have a new type of monster here. It's a succubus, and it's a mid-range magic attack, and it is quite powerful.
Yeah, I saw these guys myself too. I mean, and you've got a lot of, you know, just those little bumps in there, you know, the plus magic power and plus defense and everything just for it being happy and all. So, I mean, I don't know. I dig all the different monster types. I think they're really slick looking and you know, hey, you got to like a succubus too. So,
yeah. Kind of showing you the option menu here. It does only go into 720p and your options are kind of limited, but, you know, again, it's $4. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't bag on them too much, guys. You know, 720p is fine. And to be perfectly honest here, on that subject really quick too, man, do you really see that much of a difference between 1080p and 720p on like your computer monitor? I'm curious. I know you got a better monitor than
Not in this game, but in SimCity, yes, I can actually tell quite a bit of difference.
Fair enough.
I think the textures are smoother. They look better. They flow better. But honestly, that's going to depend more on your graphics card than maybe the game. Like, this is 2D. I played this in full screen, and it actually looked terrible.
You pumped it up to full. Yeah, well, that's true, I guess. Oh, then again, you've got like a 27-inch monitor, right?
Yeah, I have a 27-inch monitor. So
yeah, everyone hates you.
That's
just
besides
saying.
The point. I'm playing on a mini TV.
Oh, shoot. Anyway, guys, check it out. Unholy Heights, $4. Look into it. We'll throw some links down in the description there for you. And if you missed any of the other content recently, take a peek up there on the top and click you to videos. Otherwise, stay tuned. We'll have some more SimCity stuff for you soon. And some Starbound details, too, I think, are coming out of the Insomnia Game Festival coming up soon. So take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon.